Right now, you're living in a reality your past self created. That body? Gift or curse from past decisions. That bank account? Past choices. Those relationships? Past compromises or commitments. Everything you're experiencing right now is a gift from the version of you that existed 6 months, 2 years, 10 years ago. Some gifts are beautiful, some are painful. But here's the twist: your future self is waiting for a gift from you. And right now, you're deciding what to send. Are you giving them freedom or chains, health or disease, alignment or resentment? Your future self is begging you to choose wisely, because they'll have to live with whatever you send. Your future self isn't a stranger. They're the inevitable outcome of your current choices. And this video reveals the brutal truth. Every decision you're making or avoiding today is either building or betraying the person you're becoming. You've been living for your current self's comfort, while your future self suffers the consequences. I'm going to show you how to flip that script, how to make decisions from your future, not your present, how to honor the person you're becoming instead of serving the person you've always been. This isn't about sacrifice. It's about loyalty to someone who doesn't exist yet, but is depending on you. Let's stop betraying our future. Close your eyes for a second and imagine two timelines. Actually do it. I want you to really see this. In timeline A, you keep doing exactly what you're doing right now. Same patterns, same compromises, same avoidance, same comfortable choices, same relationships that drain you but feel familiar. Same job that pays the bills but kills your spirit. Same habits that feel harmless today but compound into disease tomorrow. Fast forward 5 years. Where are you? And I don't want you to tell me where you hope to be. I want you to be brutally honest about where you'll actually be if nothing changes. If you keep making the same choices, if you keep avoiding the same conversations, if you keep choosing comfort over growth, are you healthier or sicker? Be honest. If you keep eating the way you eat, moving the way you move, sleeping the way you sleep, where does that body end up? Richer or poorer? If you keep spending the way you spend, saving the way you save, investing the way you invest, what does that bank account look like? Happier or more numb? If you keep tolerating what you tolerate, avoiding what you avoid, pretending what you pretend, what does that soul feel like? More yourself or more fractured? If you keep performing for others, hiding your truth, living according to someone else's script, who are you in 5 years? See that version clearly. Really see them. That's future self A. They're living with every decision you're making today, every compromise, every avoidance, every moment you chose comfort over truth. Now, timeline B. You make the hard choice today, right now. You have the difficult conversation you've been avoiding for months, maybe years. You set the boundary that'll disappoint people but save your soul. You start the project that scares you. You leave the relationship that's comfortable but dead. You choose discomfort over comfort. You honor your truth over their approval. You invest in yourself even when it costs you something today. Fast forward 5 years. Who is that person? What do they look like? How do they feel waking up in the morning? What do they thank you for? What freedom do they have that future self A doesn't? What health? What relationships? What peace? See that version. Feel them. That's future self B, and they're begging you to choose them. Here's what most people miss, and this is absolutely critical. Both futures are equally real until you choose. Right now, in this moment, both versions exist as potential. They're both possible. They're both waiting. Future self A is praying you don't create them. They're looking back at this moment, at you right now, and they're saying, please, please don't make me live this life. Please don't condemn me to this body, this bank account, this regret. Future self B is begging you to choose them. They're saying, I'm here, I'm possible, I'm waiting, but you have to choose me. You have to make the decisions that create me. And you're the only one who decides which one becomes real. You're the only one with the power to choose which future self you birth into existence. The tragedy isn't that people choose wrong. The tragedy is that they choose by default. They slide into timeline A because It's easier because it's familiar, because it doesn't require disruption, because they can keep pretending everything's fine. And 10 years later, they wake up as future self A, trapped in a life they never consciously chose, looking in the mirror at a stranger, wondering where the time went, wondering how they got here, wondering why they feel so empty even though from the outside everything looks fine. I worked with someone, let's call her Maya, who was in a relationship that was slowly killing her soul. Not abusive. I want to be clear about that. Not dramatic. Just dead. They were roommates pretending to be partners, going through the motions, having surface conversations, sleeping in the same bed but living in different worlds. And she knew. Deep down, she knew. Every morning she woke up knowing. Every night she went to bed knowing. But leaving meant discomfort, meant disappointing his family who loved her, meant disappointing her own family who thought he was perfect, meant starting over at 40, meant facing the fear of being alone, meant admitting that the last decade was built on a foundation that crumbled years ago. So she stayed. And she could see both timelines clearly. Timeline A, stay, slowly fade, smile at dinner parties, die with the regret of never living fully, never knowing what love could actually feel like. Timeline B, leave, face the fear, rebuild, maybe find love again, maybe not. But at least be alive, at least be real, at least be honest. She stayed for 3 more years. 3 years of watching future self B slip further away, becoming harder to reach, becoming more like a fantasy than a possibility. 3 years of choosing timeline A every single morning, until one day something broke. Not the relationship. That had been broken for years. Her tolerance for betraying herself, her capacity to keep lying, her willingness to sacrifice her future for her present comfort. She finally chose timeline B. She finally honored the person she was becoming instead of protecting the person she'd been. And you know what her future self would tell her now if she could send a message back? Thank you. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for not making me live the other version. Thank you for giving me a life worth living. Your timelines are diverging right now. Every single day you delay is another day future self B waits. And eventually, if you wait too long, timeline B becomes impossible. The window closes. Not because you chose timeline A, but because time ran out on timeline B. The business idea becomes outdated. The body becomes too damaged to reverse. The relationship becomes too far gone to save. The dream requires a version of you that no longer exists because you waited too long to become them. The gap becomes unbridgeable. And that's the real tragedy. Not that you chose wrong, that you waited until choosing right was no longer an option. Which timeline are you choosing? And more importantly, which future self are you honoring? Because right now, today, in every decision you make or avoid, you're sending a message to your future. You're either saying, I see you, I honor you, I'm building you a life worth living. Or you're saying, your comfort doesn't matter to me. I'd rather feel good today than give you freedom tomorrow. I'm willing to sacrifice you for my immediate comfort. But how do you actually choose timeline B when timeline A feels so much safer? When the discomfort of growth feels more threatening than the slow death of stagnation? That's where the second layer of this reveals itself. Imagine you have 2 ways to spend $1,000. Option A, buy something that makes today more comfortable. New TV so you can binge better. Nice dinner so you can taste something expensive. Weekend trip so you can post photos. It feels good now. It serves your current self. It gives you immediate gratification, immediate pleasure, immediate relief. But your future self, they get nothing. Maybe a memory that fades, maybe not even that. Just the absence of what could have been. Option B, invest in something that makes your future self's life better. A course that builds a skill that compounds. Therapy that heals a wound that's been bleeding for 20 years. A gym membership you actually use, not just pay for. Books you actually read. Equipment for the business you keep talking about. Uncomfortable now. Your current self has to sacrifice, has to delay gratification, has to choose growth over pleasure. But your future self inherits wealth, not just financial wealth, emotional wealth, spiritual wealth, physical wealth, the compound interest of good decisions. Most people spend their whole lives serving their current self and wondering why their future self is broke, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually. They optimize for today's comfort at tomorrow's expense. They choose the immediate reward over the delayed outcome. And then they're shocked when tomorrow arrives, and there's nothing there. No health, no savings, no skills, no depth, no relationships that matter. Just the accumulation of 1,000 comfortable choices that created an uncomfortable life. Every decision you make is either an investment in your future or an expense for your present. Staying in the dead-end job because it's comfortable, because it's safe, because you know what to expect, that's an expense. Learning the skill that scares you, that makes you feel inadequate, that requires you to be a beginner again, that's an investment. Avoiding the difficult conversation because it might create conflict, expense. Having it anyway, setting the boundary, speaking your truth, investment. Scrolling for 2 hours every night, numbing yourself with content that doesn't matter, expense. Creating for 30 minutes, building something, making something, contributing something, investment. Eating the fast food because it's easy, because it's there, because cooking feels like too much effort, expense. Cooking the meal, fueling your body properly, treating it like it matters, investment. Your future self is living on the interest of your investments or suffering the debt of your expenses. And right now, I'll tell you, most people are drowning their future in consumer debt. Not financial debt, though that too, but existential debt. They're borrowing from tomorrow to pay for today's comfort. They're taking out loans against their future self's health, their future self's freedom, their future self's peace. And the interest rate? It's brutal. It compounds. And eventually the debt comes due, and your future self is the one who has to pay it. I met a man who spent his 20s and 30s partying, avoiding responsibility, chasing immediate pleasure, choosing comfort and fun and ease at every turn. And he'd say, I'll get serious later. I'm young, I have time. I'll save money when I'm 30. I'll get healthy when I'm 40. I'll build real relationships when I settle down. There's always time, until there wasn't. 50 hit, and he looked at his life. No savings, broken health, shallow relationships that evaporated the moment he needed them, a body that hurt every morning, a bank account that couldn't handle an emergency. And he realized his past self bankrupted him. Every choice was an expense. Every decision served the moment. Every action prioritized now over later. And his future self, that's him now, sitting in the reality his past self created. And he's paying the debt every single day, with pain, with regret, with limitation, with the crushing weight of knowing he had chances and wasted them. But here's the beautiful paradox, and this is where hope enters the story. Your future self is also your investor. When you make choices that serve them, when you honor their needs over your current comfort, when you choose the investment over the expense, they send dividends back. Energy, clarity, opportunities that only come to people who've prepared, health that only comes from years of good choices, freedom that only comes from delayed gratification, peace that only comes from living in alignment. They make your current life better because you're building a foundation instead of renting comfort, because you're creating stability instead of borrowing it. You want to know the secret of successful people? I've worked with enough of them to tell you, they live in the future. They make decisions from timeline B. They don't ask what feels good right now. They ask, what would future self thank me for? And then they do that, even when it costs their current self comfort. Even when it means saying no to immediate pleasure. Even when it means choosing the harder path. Because they understand something most people never learn. Your current self is temporary. Your future self is permanent. And permanent deserves priority. So if every choice is either investing in or stealing from your future, what are the principles that make this sustainable? Because I don't want you to hear this and feel inspired for 3 days and then go back to your old patterns. I want this to change your life. First principle, your future self is real. Treat them like it. Stop thinking of your future as abstract, as theoretical, as some distant concept that doesn't really exist. It's a person, a real person, a person you will become, a person who will have to live with your choices Disrespecting them is disrespecting yourself. Every decision, every choice, every moment, ask, does this honor my future? Does this serve the person I'm becoming or the person I've been? Second principle, present comfort equals future cost. Comfort isn't free. It's never free. It's a loan against tomorrow. Every time you choose ease over growth, your future pays interest, not once. Compounding. The comfort you're clinging to today is the prison your future self will inherit tomorrow. That comfortable job that requires nothing of you, it's costing your future self opportunity. That comfortable relationship where you never have to be vulnerable, it's costing your future self intimacy. That comfortable routine that requires no growth, it's costing your future self evolution. Third principle, timeline B requires timeline A's death. You cannot become the new you while protecting the old you. Timeline B requires letting timeline A die. That means killing the identity that got you here, the beliefs that kept you small, the patterns that kept you safe, the relationships that reinforced the old you. Death before rebirth. Always. You can't become a butterfly while clinging to being a caterpillar. The caterpillar has to dissolve completely. And that dissolution feels like death. But it's not. It's transformation. Fourth principle. Your future self already knows what you need to do. That thing you're avoiding, that conversation, that decision, that leap, your future self is screaming at you to do it. You already know. You're just pretending you don't, because knowing means you have to act. Knowing means you can't hide behind ignorance anymore. Knowing means you're responsible. Stop pretending. Your future is counting on you. But how do you actually live from the future when the present is so loud, so demanding, so immediate? Here are the practices. First, the 5-year conversation. Every morning, have a conversation with your 5-year future self. Literally. Out loud if you can. In your head if you can't. Ask them, what do you need from me today? What decision honors you? What would you thank me for? And then listen. Actually listen. They'll tell you. And then do it. Even if it's uncomfortable. Especially if it's uncomfortable. Second, the investment filter. Before any major decision, any choice that matters, ask yourself, is this an investment in my future or an expense for my present? If it's an expense, it better be worth it. It better be something that truly nourishes you, not just numbs you. If it's an investment, do it even if it hurts, even if your current self wants to resist, even if it costs you comfort today. Third, the timeline visualization. Once a week, sit down and visualize both timelines. Timeline A, where you're heading if nothing changes. Make it vivid. Make it real. See yourself in 5 years if you keep making the same choices. Timeline B, where you could go if you choose differently starting today. See that person too. Feel both futures. Let the contrast create urgency. Let the gap motivate you. Let future self B call you forward. Fourth, the future self letter. Write a letter to your current self from your future self 10 years from now. What do they tell you? What do they wish you'd known? What are they grateful you did? What do they wish you hadn't done? What wisdom do they have that you need right now? Write it. Read it when you're about to choose comfort over growth. Read it when you're about to betray your future for your present. So here's where we land, and I need you to really hear this, to really let this sink in, because this is the truth that changes everything. Your future self isn't hypothetical. They're not some vague concept. They're inevitable. And right now, in this very moment, you're deciding who they become. Every choice you make, every choice you avoid, every moment you serve your present self's comfort over your future self's freedom, it's all compounding, creating a real person who will either thank you or resent you, a person who will either live in freedom or chains, a person you'll become whether you like it or not. Here's your mantra, and I want you to say this with me right now. I am not living for now. I am building for who I'm becoming. Say it again. I am not living for now. I am building for who I'm becoming. Because your future self is real. They're waiting. And they're begging you. Don't betray me. Don't sacrifice my freedom for your comfort. Don't make me live with the consequences of your fear. Don't choose timeline A just because it's easier. Don't spend when you should invest. Don't expense your future away. Choose timeline B. Make the hard decision. Have the difficult conversation. Start the project. Leave the relationship that's killing you slowly. Set the boundary. Invest in the future. Honor the person you're becoming, not the person you've been. Stop living for immediate comfort and start building for lasting freedom. Your future self will meet you there. And when they do, when you become them, when you're living in the reality you built with today's choices, you'll look back at this moment and think, thank God I listened. Thank God I chose them over my fear. Thank God I invested instead of expensed. Thank God I honored my future. If this hit you, if something inside you shifted while you were listening, I need you to do something. Hit that like button, not for me, for your future self, as a commitment, as a declaration that you're choosing timeline B. Drop a comment and tell me, what's one decision your future self is begging you to make today? What investment are you finally going to make? And subscribe to this channel because we're building futures together, not just surviving presents. We're choosing timeline B together. We're honoring our future selves together. Your future self is waiting. Don't make them wait forever.